Is it just me, or do you guys feel like you lose brain cells every time you hear from a bearish analyst? Like, what are they even saying at this point? None of what Toni Sacconaghi said today on CNBC makes any lick of sense at all. Zero. Nothing makes any sense. If you know literally anything on Tesla, about Tesla, then it's just, I mean, you're literally losing brain cells here. It's rough to watch. But I think this is very important for individuals that are investors in Tesla, whether you are bullish or you are bearish. You want to hear the opposite take than you have, right? You don't want to just listen to bulls on Tesla. If you're a bull, then you could be way too one-sided here. So you obviously want to listen to the bears. But when I listen to the bears, I get way more bullish on Tesla stock than I was before, because if they're this wrong, just imagine what the capitulation is going to look like one day down the line when they're proven wrong, like Toni Sacconaghi will be. On the other side, Cathie Woods speaks a lot more in depth about the future of GM, Ford, legacy automakers, and where Tesla's spot in history is going to be. And let me tell you right now, she sounds like she's predicting the demise of legacy OEMs, that they will never be successful in electric vehicles, at least not to a scale of profitability or just total scale of vehicles as Tesla is today. Cathie Woods also explains a little bit more on why she is selling Tesla stock, or has been selling Tesla stock. So we're going to run both of these clips. One from Cathie Woods. We'll start with her first so we can save you the losing of brain cells a little bit later. And then we're going to listen to Toni Sacconaghi and lose more brain cells together.
On autonomy, vehicle autonomy, of ETF all around it, robotics and the like. What do you make of what's happened with Cruise, the shutdown of Cruise, at least the temporary suspension of it? Dara Khosrowshahi, who runs Uber, was on the broadcast last week. He said he doesn't think that autonomy, in terms of autonomous vehicles or robotaxis or the like, are a real thing for another 5 or 10 years. Meaning, he's, and by the way, I think 5 or 10 years ago, he would have said 5 or 10 years ago, that was what, you know,
and so would Elon, yes.
And so here we are.
Yes.
So what, have you changed your view about that? No. I mean, you must have, because I imagine if we go get tape of a conversation that we all probably had 5 or 10 years ago, we probably said 5 or 10 years from now.
22, 23, 24. We actually delay ours by 1 year relative to Elon, so maybe it should be 2 years. But here's where we've learned how important Tesla's proprietary data is. It's 5 million robots around the world. Cruise didn't have anything like that. It had hundreds. 5 million robots around the world collect data every day and send it back to Tesla. Tesla has more corner cases, which means disengagements, accidents, information like that, than all the other companies in the world combined. And I have to tell you, watching the breakthroughs in AI that we are seeing, they are astounding, the speed at which this is moving. So it is interesting. I think it's a data issue. Autonomous taxi platforms are the biggest AI project in the world, and therefore we think Tesla is the
but
biggest
you've sold Tesla shares, and it's, you know, it used to be the #1 holding, I believe, in your ETF. It's now number 3. You've sold about 20 million shares.
Yes.
Why?
So, well, whenever it goes up, it was up about 150% relative to our other names, many of which had not moved. So we will always recycle that way, take profits. And I would also say, listening to Elon on the last conference call, he's very concerned about the economy, as we are.
Cathie, will I look outside 5 years from now and see GM and Ford EVs everywhere?
It's very interesting to hear both of them pull back, saying,
but do you think, with this new way, I don't even know if we'll be talking about GM and Ford in 5 years.
What is interesting about the news that both of them are pulling back for profitability reasons, they can't be profitable in this space unless they scale. That's how this
That's
works.
That's the catch-22.
So it's catch-22, and their shareholder base is very internal combustion engine oriented, and they want their profits now, and they want their dividends now, and they don't want that kind of investment. So how are they going to do it?
Will they be able to?
I don't know. All I know is, back to the Tesla question, as they are pulling away, our market share expectations for Tesla go up.
Right.
You know, and so to answer the question, we sold as it was up 150% relative to everything else. We have not sold much since then, and it will. If we're right on this autonomous taxi opportunity, it will remain in the top 5 in our fund, in our flagship.
So I pretty much agree with Cathie Woods across the board. Robo-taxis, autonomous vehicles, the opportunity there, both commercially and personally, is huge. Obviously, commercially being robo-taxis, personally being people that just don't want to drive, like myself, that would much rather be doing something else. You could trade stocks. You could play video games in the car, right? If your car was as safe as you driving it, potentially even safer, it would be a hands-down choice. And I think that is coming. Me and Cathie might vary on our timelines here, but nonetheless, it's still coming, and that's the ultimate point that does matter. So I, for the most part, agree with Cathie Woods. I think they're a little too conservative in the short term, and what I mean by that is I think Cathie is an intelligent enough person in regards to Tesla stock specifically. I mean, she's got to be more connected than me. And if I can sit here and say Tesla's margins are probably going to improve, that Tesla's probably going to be able to raise prices in 2024, then I think she understands that as well. For whatever reason, nobody wants to talk about it. I don't think I'm the only one that is thinking this. So that makes me question a little bit. Like, does she know something that maybe I don't or you don't, that would prevent Tesla from doing that? Maybe that would have to do with the broader economy or something else, but it's pretty clear, especially after today, and this interview was today on CNBC, that rates are probably going to go down a lot more than we thought in 2024, and that's ultimately what I believe is the biggest checkmate for anyone betting against Tesla or not quite involved in Tesla in 2024. When Tesla does raise prices, when their margins get back to a better place, when we do have potentially a licensing deal for FSD in 2024, that is potentially going to mean all-time highs for Tesla stock. Now, I hope you're bulled up, if you will. You're ready to hear the bearish take on Tesla. And just to be honest here, like, literally lose a couple of brain cells. This interview with Toni Sacconaghi was followed right after Cathie Woods. And yes, I know it's not Cathie Woods, it's Cathie Wood, but Woods flows off the tongue a little bit better.
More on Tesla, Toni Sacconaghi, Bernstein Senior Research Analyst. Toni, great to have you with us. You're basically the opposite of Cathie Wood. You've got an underperform rating, a $150 price target. And I think that was interesting when I read through your notes is that, you know, you have all these estimates. You think full year 24 estimates on the street are too high, but it almost doesn't matter, because if you take a look at how Tesla has reported and how they have missed estimates in terms of deliveries for a number of quarters, they've missed on some of the metrics for the quarters. The stock is still up 80% this year. So how do you look at this stock right now and say it's 150 when it's divorced a little bit from these estimates and the expectations on the street?
Sure. Good morning, Melissa. Yes, I mean, I think in the near term, Tesla stock has been extremely difficult to call. As you know, I think earnings estimates for this year have gone from $6 to $3, and yet the stock is almost double from the beginning of the year, albeit still down considerably from, last September, October levels. And so I think that's very challenging for investors when numbers are generally coming down and the stock is holding in there or actually gaining ground. I think a lot of it is because there's continued belief in the longer term vision of Elon Musk and Tesla. I think he showed the clip of Cathie Wood saying she really believes in autonomy. others have espoused the fact that Tesla will have dominant market share, 10, 15 years from now, 10, 20 million cars. And so I think while that hope is still possible and is still alive, it's difficult for the stock to go down. I think the big question for me is next year, do they have to cut their growth targets? Might they only grow at 10%? And I think it's certainly possible in 24 and 25 that Tesla could have pretty modest unit growth because they're not going to have new models and they're struggling to grow now without doing major price cuts.
I want to talk to you about China, since that's supposed to be a major engine for the Tesla story in the future. Li Auto, a competitor there, has been gaining market share. Granted, it's only 4.5% according to its latest earnings report, but that's up from 1.5% a year ago. Tesla has been losing a little bit of share. HSBC, in its initiation last week with a sell rating, pointed out that the EU might be looking into probes. And so that could impact, it exports 40% of the cars made in Shanghai right now. How do you take a look at the China story? And is there, if it was worth X amount in its share price, 8 months ago or a year ago, what is it worth today? Is there a discount associated with that?
I think, the Chinese EV market is incredibly competitive. It's, 1 out of every 3 cars sold in China this year are EVs. There is an 800-pound gorilla, BYD in China, who is growing much faster than Tesla. They just reported 25% automotive gross margins. Tesla's at 17. They only make EV-related cars. And, there are others like Li and Xpeng who are formidable competitors as well. And so the Chinese market, which is the largest car market in the world, is the most competitive market. It has the most models. It has the most competition. And Tesla has its lowest share there of any region. Its share in China of the EV market is about 10%. Its share of the EV market in the US is about 70%. And I think over time, markets will become more competitive. The European market will become more competitive, is becoming more competitive as the Europeans have come out with pretty good EVs and the Chinese are moving in. And I think over time, the US market will become more competitive. And that's the challenge for Tesla is it's playing in a hyper competitive marketplace. And it's really, really difficult for one player to have outsized share or profitability. And that's ultimately our concern about Tesla longer term is that it is really a car company. And the car industry makes it difficult for anyone to have outsized margins or share over the long term.
I literally feel like I got dumber after watching that clip from Toni Sacconaghi. I mean, just wow. Blissfully ignorant is maybe the more polite way to put this, but wow. You are going to make filthy amounts of money if that is the way the bears are looking at Tesla stock. Just for a little bit of reference here, he said, quote, Tesla has no major new models. It's going to be hard to see essentially growth is what he said. And again, I'm paraphrasing here. I said quote because it makes me seem more authentic. I'm paraphrasing. But yet we have the Cybertruck that launches in almost exactly 2 weeks. That apparently is not going to have any halo effect. It's not going to boost attention to Tesla. It's not going to do anything for Tesla, apparently. It doesn't even exist, according to Toni Sacconaghi. A whole new segment of Tesla's business history being created with the Cybertruck is, poof, non-existent. Dude, I mean, this is just asinine to be quite frank. I mean, there's so many different holes that you could poke in that. He's comparing BYD to Tesla. BYD, an auto company that still sells a majority of their autos that are ICE, internal combustion engines. Yeah, I get it. They're doing just fine in China, and there will be multiple winners in China. Tesla never went to China to be the top vehicle manufacturer. Who cares if BYD is the top guy and Tesla's number 2 or even number 3? What's that matter? right? In the grand scope of things, I mean, China, well, I should say India maybe doesn't necessarily like the US or like Tesla more than they like their own companies. But you know who India beefs with the most, if you will? China. They literally fight with bayonets on the border. Good luck, China, trying to infiltrate the Indian market. If Tesla gets in there, that's basically free and clear of Chinese competition. Doesn't look like they're going to lower their tariffs for Chinese companies anytime soon. Now, Tesla also has energy products and FSD and licensing deals, which could be right around the corner on a robotaxi network. BYD is never going to have that. That's why BYD and BYD's stock price looks nothing like Tesla. Let's pull up BYD for all of you. And let's see. I actually can't pull. I thought you could pull it up. Nonetheless, the stock has literally done like nothing. This might actually be BYD here, actually. Yeah, I think this is BYD. BYDDF is what it looks like. If you look at this thing on a weekly chart, sure, it's done fine, right? And it's done pretty good since 2019, 2020. In regards to where Tesla is going, just the valuation difference between BYD and Tesla, Wall Street's telling you something. They don't care if BYD is number one in China. They don't care if BYD has better margins than Tesla. Who gives a crap on that? It's all about the volume, baby. It's all about the future. And just to compare BYD to Tesla is... I mean, I don't understand why analysts do it in the first place. Like BYD is going to take all of Tesla's market share. Give me a break. That is the biggest load of crap that I have ever heard in my entire life. So yeah, let me know what you guys think about this down below in the comment section. Do you also feel like you lost brain cells from Toni Sacconaghi? Maybe we should personally thank him for that. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and source your comments, questions, or concerns down below in the comment section. Let me know what you guys think about all of this information. If you guys would like to come trade with us and hopefully regain your brain cells back, link down below in the description of this video. You can come trade with us. I send out alerts every time I make a trade. Whether I am right or wrong, I simply talk to myself and I document that in that trading community. I give a thesis on each and every single trade that I do make, why I'm making it, why I like it, why I might not like it. Just whatever you need to know in regards to what I'm personally doing. Now, that's going to do it. I think we've spilled enough and lost enough brain cells. So, thank you for watching. My name is Michael Tyler. Enjoy the rest of your day and night, and I will see you in the next one.